Good afternoon. I'm Darrell Seymour, host of County Connection today, County Supervisor. With us today we have Brad Carline. Brad, County Attorney, great to have you with us. Appreciate you coming today to talk about a new program you have going on, and I don't know how new it is, but it's called Clean Slate, right?
Yes, we've been doing it for a little bit over a year now. Okay. So it's not quite new, but we do it in different parts of the county to make it more accessible to the different regions.
So let's back up. What is Clean Slate?
Clean Slate is actually two different criminal statutes that people can use to remove from their criminal history convictions, be they felonies or misdemeanors. One is what's called a set-aside. A set-aside means that while it stays on your record, you can still tell people that you, while may have been convicted of a felony, that it's been removed from your record.
Okay.
And Representative Walt Blackman, 2 sessions ago, added to the set-aside statutes and now permits a letter to be issued by the court letting employers and landlords know that your convictions have been set aside and you shouldn't have any penalty for those convictions. And the other type of matter that we handle in Operation Clean Slate is marijuana expungements. An expungement is different than a set-aside. It actually disappears from your record totally. In my office, we have to seal the police records about it. The courts have to seal their records about it. So somebody doing a criminal background, if you have an expungement of your marijuana conviction, won't find anything out there.
Okay. Did that come about, the marijuana expungement come about because of the change of laws that we voted in?
It was part of Prop 207.
Okay.
So as long as your marijuana conviction was for possession of less than 2.5 ounces of marijuana or less than, not more than 6 marijuana plants, you can get it expunged.
Okay.
We've done quite a few of those. In Navajo County, even before I became county attorney nearly 15 years ago, we treated most personal possessions of marijuana as misdemeanors. We would tell law enforcement, just cite it to the justice courts unless there's other felonies that you're referring them to the county attorney's office, then we would add them to a felony complaint as a felony. So the vast majority were misdemeanors in Navajo County. We only have to keep records of misdemeanor offenses for a year. So I really don't even have in my office who was convicted of those misdemeanors to go in and let them know. So instead we advertised the Operation Clean Slate. We did it about a year ago in Winslow. Then we did one I guess it was about 18 months ago in Winslow, 12 months ago in Pine Top Lakeside, and 6 months ago in Holbrook. And then come November, we'll be holding another one in Show Low.
Now, how are these Clean Slate days or programs, or
We've done it on. We've done 2 of them on Saturdays.
Okay.
The one in Winslow and Pine Top, and we combined them with events. There was at this. Standing in the corner park area, there was an event going on in Winslow with the draw people in. Winslow Police Department worked with the county attorney's office. They gave us their RV to use that they use for a command center in a major incident, and it has printers in there and Wi-Fi. We had no idea how many people to expect. We did promote it in the Holbrook Tribune, on social media, for the county attorney, for the city of Winslow County, etc. My wife, who's an attorney too, she decided to come help me. I kind of volunteered her. And we got there an hour before the event started in the park. And there was already a line of people.
Oh, wow.
And we finished up, because we did everybody who stayed in line, an hour and a half after the event occurred. we never got to see what happened. PD was nice. They brought us, my wife and I both, a soda and a hamburger so we could eat. But it was just about 75 people that we helped that day.
Wow.
And that was with fighting some social media people saying that this was just a scam. They're trying to get you there to arrest you. Well, we're not. We're trying to help you. You were convicted. You served your punishment. You have the right under statute to have it set aside, and we'll help you if you want to.
That's really neat, the opportunity they have now. Is there a time frame of when that conviction was to when it could be wiped slate?
Your probation or parole needs to be done. For the set aside, there are certain crimes that can't be set aside. If you used a dangerous weapon, a gun, or a dangerous instrument like a knife or something, they can't be set aside. If you cause serious physical injury, which is defined by statute, it can't be set aside. If the crime you were convicted of requires you to register as a sex offender, it can't be set aside. And the other classification that can't be set aside is if the victim was under 15 years of age. Otherwise, it can be set aside. It's not mandatory. There's factors that the judge looks at. How much time has elapsed since the conviction? Did you pay all your fines, fees, assessments, and restitution to the victim? Have you committed any new crimes since that crime occurred and you were convicted of it? And the judge looks and weighs at those things, and they can decide whether to set it aside or not. We found here in Navajo County that most of them, if you haven't had other convictions committed in between, and you've paid all the victim restitution, more than likely will be set aside.
So a person would come to one of these, I'll call it a set-aside day, okay? Mm-hmm. And what do they need to bring with them, or do they need to fill out anything?
What we would like for them to bring with them is their case number and the charges that they were convicted of. It makes our life a lot simpler if we have that information. We understand that sometimes these convictions were years in the past. So as long as we have Wi-Fi and we've made sure all of our events were at a place where we could get online to public access, use their name, date of birth, pull up the case number or case numbers, and use that to determine what the offenses were they were convicted of. And there's forms to fill out, and we'll help them fill out that paperwork. They don't have to wait for an Operation Clean Slate to do it. Those forms are online at the Navajo County Clerk of the Superior Court website, the Arizona State Supreme Court website, and all the other Superior Court websites. So they can go on there, fill them out, file them. There's no filing fee for set-asides or expungements. You do have to send a copy to the county attorney, though. And if there is a victim in your case, the victim also has a right of notification and a right to object.
Now, once they fill out the paperwork, submit it, what's the process? Does it go before a judge, and how long would it take for that to be cleared?
It gets assigned to a judge. Of course, if it's a felony, it's a Superior Court judge. If it's a misdemeanor, it'd be the appropriate magistrate or justice of the peace. And there's roughly 90-day time period where it can be done. The state has an opportunity to respond. So even though the county attorney's office helps them fill it out, we still respond, especially if there's a victim. We'll reach out to the victim to let them know that the application's been filed and let them have their say in court. We'll also go through and make sure that the offense qualifies, that there wasn't a weapon used, that there wasn't a victim under 15, and those other disqualifications. And most importantly, from my perspective, all the restitution due a victim was paid. And we'll say whether we oppose it or support it or take a neutral position on it.
That's really interesting. So does the conviction have to have occurred in Navajo County, or can it be anywhere in the state? Or
we'll help you fill it out anywhere in the state. So your conviction may have been from Yavapai County or Maricopa or Pima or any of the other 14 counties. We'll help you fill out the paperwork, but we'll have you go and file it. If it occurred in Navajo County, at the end of the day, we'll pick up all the applications, and the next business day, we will file them on behalf of the applicants with the appropriate clerks.
So this could really be life-changing to an individual if they had a conviction that, you know, would maybe keep them from getting a certain job or applying even for certain positions.
One of the lines in the application, it's not a mandatory line, it's a question, why do you want this conviction set aside? And I always encourage the applicant to fill that part out so the judge has a better idea, especially if it's a close call, why they're looking for it. We find a number of them, and I've done all 3 of them that we've had so far, participated in them, are trying to go to like nursing school. Some are trying to go to technical school, but with a felony conviction, they can't. Or with that felony conviction, they're not eligible for student loans, and they need the student loans to get that degree or to get that certification to get that job. So those are 2 of the most common, schooling or student loans that are not just student loans, but also Pell Grants and other things. And also, some convictions can preclude people from getting government assistance, be it Section 8 housing, be it SNAP or TANF. And it may have been a long time since they had those convictions.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes we make mistakes when we're young. Sometimes those things come back to always haunt us and things, but would there be anything that could procure somebody once there was a set aside that somebody could say, well, I'm sorry, you have this, and I'm still not going to hire you? I mean, does it give them that clean slate as much as or is it still a judgment call on somebody?
Some states have expungements where the record is totally wiped out. Arizona's not. It's that set aside. So it's still there. But at least you can go to, a potential employer or a landlord or whatever and say, look, it's been set aside. I did my time, I did my punishment, and the state, through the Superior Court judge, has now said that you're fine moving forward. From that legislation from Walt Blackman, they get their certificate of second chance. Is it still out there? Yes. If you do your 10-print clearance to do something, it'll pop up, but it's also going to pop up that it's been set aside.
And does the applicant get something that he can carry with him or show?
There will be an order from the judge, which they could have. On the criminal history that DPS keeps, it will be added to that, and it'll show that while they were convicted and what their punishment, it will also show set aside on whatever date that order came out.
Okay. Now, is there a time frame that this would ever end, the set aside? Is it just something that's going to continue on, just a program that continue to operate?
The set aside's by statute, so it's always going to be there until and unless the legislature would change it. The Operation Clean Slate, as long as I'm not in office, we plan on doing it about every 6 months. Probably sometime in November, we'll be doing it here in Show Low. Probably next May, we'll be doing it in Snowflake Taylor, and then we'll probably start over and do it in Winslow again, at least until people aren't showing up.
Right.
And like I said, the first one in Winslow, we had about 75. We did it at Pinetop Lakeside, where they had a job fair going on for people. The Southern Arizona Legal Aid came up and assisted us with that one. They could only work on the marijuana expungements because they had a grant for it, but we still had probably about over 50. The one that we had last May in Holbrook, we had, once again, nearly 50 people. So the word is getting out. People are realizing we're not going to arrest you if you show up. We're just here to actually help you on this. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable for myself or the prosecutors because I'm looking at the case and going, oh, that was me that convicted them of that. But I know they served their time. They served their punishment. They've changed their life, hopefully, and I'm more than helping, and so are the other prosecutors in my office, to help them take that next step in recovering their life after the poor decision they made earlier.
Well, I think that's could be commendable on your part. It's something that you go out of your way, you make it available, people work with it. You're actively trying to change and help people, and I appreciate that in you and everything that you do. It's to make somebody else's life better and help change the conditions. So are you going to expand this to speed citations or anything like that?
Only if the legislature gives us the chance, but they expanded your ability to do the traffic school to get off more. You can double the number now. On
that side of it. That's interesting. Well, is there anything else you want to kind of add in closing here?
Just keep your eyes open, especially if you live in southern Navajo County. In November, we'll be having the next Operation Clean Slate, and there'll be more details going out on social media and on Sholo TV about it.
Hey, I appreciate it. Well, thanks so much for being with us today on the show. I really appreciate all you do and all your help that you're giving our citizens there.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Daryl. Appreciate
it. Thank you again for watching County Connection, and if you have any questions, give us a call at the county, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate it.